What it is, guys, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back at you with another DanMachi video. Now, I realize it's been a while since we've done a 101. The last one we did was on weapons, and I think it's worthy of doing one on our units. Now, weapons were way more in-depth, in my opinion. The unit upgrades, they're pretty intuitive once you get down to it, but we're going to still talk about it here. Now, we're going to kick this off tonight, because yesterday we got a free gacha. If you have not done this, free gacha on the Bell banner. This could give me a dupe I need, or could give me a useless dupe. We'll find out. And there's actually a couple of units on this banner that... It's not a guaranteed 4-star, so it might not give us anything. So he's giving us a gold door, so it's probably not going to give us anything. But there's a couple units on this banner that are time limited, that haven't been around in a while. Okay, so we got Oxslayer Bell. He actually might benefit us for upgrading. Are these all literally all Bell units? Yep. 2-star Bell. 2-star Bell. That's actually going to be super handy. We'll talk about that tomorrow in our first of the month video. But let's get another Oxslayer. I could use another Oxslayer. We're going to at least get one at the end. All 2-star Bell. All 2-star Bell. Alright, here's Oxslayer. Boom. There we go. So that's actually really handy. That's all bonds we can sell. We'll talk about sales bonds in our video tomorrow. Now, we do have the swimsuit banner is out. This banner we will be doing a little bit on, but I've got to farm up a little more iris, because as you can see, I did spend all my iris in a last-minute bid last night to try to get another bond of Argonaut, and it didn't work. So I'm going to have to spend star bonds on them. We'll talk about what star bonds are. We'll talk about that here in a little bit during the video. But first things first, when you're first getting into this game, hopefully they got something good for you. If it did, comment in the comment section down below what you got. 4 stars are really what you're shooting for in this game. That's the one with the rainbow door and kind of that rainbow outline around the hex. So hopefully you got something new, and hopefully you got something useful. So we're going to talk about units. And I guess we should first start off by talking about the different star levels of units. There's only 2 1-star units of the game, and they're the ones you start off with. So we don't need to worry about those. Okay? 2 stars are kind of your base level unit. They're not really anything special, and you'll honestly never use them past like the first day of gameplay. 3 stars are just a slight step up from there. What you're going to want is you're going to want to pay close attention to 4 stars and 4 stars alone. And you'll quickly figure out, if we go in here into the album, that not all 4 stars are even similar. So if I go in here to filter, I can actually filter this down, and we'll talk about all these other things here in a little bit. We can filter this down by 4 stars, okay? So here are all our 4-star adventurers. Now, I've got a few holes in my team. Unfortunately, that's just nature of the beast. You're not always going to get lucky, okay? But these are all, you see it has kind of like that rainbow border. That's how you know it's a 4-star. Now, that will change if you upgrade a unit. There are a few 3 stars I have that have rainbow borders, because once you get them up to the 4-star level, they kind of do that. But if you do the filter, that filters it down by what they were at their base level. And when I say not all 4 stars are made alike, let me go ahead and give you an example. Okay? I'll go up to the Bell units, if we can get up there. Alright? So this Bell. Very good Bell, Argonaut Bell. If we go ahead and do what's called limit breaking, it'll give you his stats. We'll talk about limit breaking in a little bit, but so some pretty good stats there. Some pretty good stats. But what you want to do is you want to go into status and look at the things he does. Okay? So, the first thing is always up here. That's always the special attack. We're not worried about that. We're going to go down here to his skills. So his combat skills, robocallers, leave me alone. Love robocallers. Rapid firebolt. Foes plural, fast high fire magic attack. So that's a magic attack. He's not a dedicated magic or physical unit, because you'll go down here and you'll see foes fast high physical attack. We'll talk about those in a minute, what that means. We go down here, strength of magic 75% for 4 turns. It's actually really good. Really, really good. But if we go, say, let's look at the honor bell. Okay? So if we look at... Oh, we need to limit break him. Boom. Limit break him all the way up. His stats are significantly better. Look at that strength stat. Strength stat is much higher. And then we go into status. And you notice already that his special attack has so much more going on in it. Okay? Sharpness. He gives low physical attack with self-strength 75%. Now, the other one was physical and... strength and magic 75% for 4 turns. But if we then go down to his sweeping strike, which is the second one you typically would do in his stack, it's a high physical attack with temporary strength boost and physical resist. The other ones didn't have that strength boost, and he didn't have the physical resist. So basically, this unit first gets that 75% boost, then debuffs your enemy's ability to resist physical, as well as giving him a temporary, which is like a 1-turn strength boost. Then you go into your high attacks. Basically, that's your single target attack. That's the one that you would use in Record Buster, and that's the one that you would use in any kind of situation where you have one unit you're just trying to take down. This dude hits way harder. They're not even in the same ballpark. Okay? And if you look at any of the 3 stars, the 3 stars aren't even going to come near him. So it doesn't on paper might not look as impressive, but let's look at maybe this bell. I believe is one of the ones. No, he's actually one of the better ones too. But let's limit break him and look at his stats. So he's all magic, but you see his magic is really, really, really high. You kind of want to focus on a unit that has... most of the time you want to focus on a unit that's either magic or physical, not both. Because a unit that specializes in one thing is going to be better at that one thing than a unit that tries to do all of the above. So, that is adventures. Now we have assists. Now, let's go ahead and filter this down by 4 stars as well. Boom, 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 boom. Now, assists are pretty simple. Assists are pretty straightforward. Okay? Assists basically do one thing, and they either do it for all your units, or they do it for one unit. Sometimes a combination of that. We'll get to that. Okay? So let's look at the Dark Bell. Okay? Now, you'll see time limited on him. We'll talk about that in a moment. Okay? Let's limit break him all the way up. So, these stats don't look very good, but remember, these stats are added onto the stat of the unit he's paired with. We'll get into team building in a moment and talk about what that means. Go into status. So, he does, like I said, one thing and he does it well. Foes. So, everybody, when you attack, all foes, dark resist minus, actually, you don't even have to attack if I'm real. Just the start of a turn. When he's in play, foes, dark resist minus 10%. So all dark types, and we'll talk about types later on, all dark types get a 10%, resistance debuff. So in other words, they lose 10% of their resistance to dark types. They don't have any resistance at all. It actually goes down. It can go in the negative numbers. And, remember I said some of them do 2 things? All allies, when he's in play, critical rate plus 10%. Now, what's really nice, that happens once. He doesn't have to be in play for that to happen. That happens one time, and every unit keeps that from then on. They never lose that skill. So we could go one turn, get killed, or at least the adventure he's on gets killed. That stays on all the adventures that were there when that was enacted. Same with that. So, pretty straightforward. Now, that's kind of that. I mean... It is what it is. Now, when it comes to assists, there are a couple of things they do. Let's go back into him. Okay? Let's let me break them all the way up. So the big thing with these guys is you want to look at them. You want to say, is this a magic type or is this a strength type? In his case, he has good stats for both, and he's got pretty decent HP. And then you want to look at the MP stats. So physical attack and magic attack first. Which one is higher? In his case, he does both, like I said before. So, there are a few that are actually quite specialized. Let's see if we can go find one. Okay? I'm trying to think of one that would be specialized. I'm pretty sure she is. Nope, she's physical and magic as well. There's some that are very, very she probably is, but her stats are not that great. Yeah. So let's limit break her all the way up. So her physical is much higher than her magic. Not by a huge amount, but that'll actually increase quite a bit. So she is predominantly a physical type, and her HP is actually higher than the other Belle, which is a little surprising. I thought hers would be a little lower. Either way, she's also time limited. We'll talk about what time limited means in a minute. So she's one you would use predominantly on a physical unit. And kind of proof of that pudding is that she does strength plus 10 for all allies. Now, this is an important caveat when you're building a team. Any similar stats, like if you have another unit that does strength buffing, they will take the highest stat. The assist skill will not stack. I'll repeat that. So let's go down and take a look at Artemis, because I know she's another really awesome strength buffer. Okay, we're going to go down here to the bottom of our list. There she is. So Artemis, movie Artemis. Let's buff her up, and let's go to status. She does self strength 20%, ally strength 15%. So if you had her and that Chibi Hestia on the same rotation, Hestia would be pointless because her strength 15 would outweigh that. They're not going to stack at each other. Kind of says it right there too. Effect does not apply to self. So she gives whoever she's attached to 20%, and then gives everybody else 15%. That is awesome. That is really good. And if we go back out here and we look at her, her physical represents that. That physical is insane. That physical is stupid high. Unfortunately, mine is not MLB, but that is something I'm going to be working towards. And you'll notice she is not time limited. We'll talk about that too. So, why are you stuck? I realize there's no music. It got stuck. So, I like a little background music. It gets me in the groove, right? So, this is a very distinct difference between a physical unit and a magic unit. She would not be good for magic. She's going to be really good for physical. Now, her HP is not that great. She's not going to provide a lot of HP for the team, but that's kind of the caveat there. You kind of give and take a little bit for that. Okay? So, and I know most people, if you got one or two of her, you're not going to see these numbers. This is fully limit broken, and we'll talk about what that means. So, that's a physical unit. I saw a really good magic unit up here. This Riveria, she is one of the better magic units in my opinion. Okay? Look at that magic stat. 601. Once again, HP is not as high as some of the other ones we saw a minute ago, but her magic is double S, and it's rare you get double S's in assists. She's good. She's really good. For those of you that are new at the game, hopefully she comes back around in October. Hopefully. Because if she does, she's one you want. Now, her status, and you can kind of tell once again that she's not so much a physical type. Foes Thunder Resist, minus 15%. So remember that resistance goes down. Belle was 10%. She's 15. 15. Allies, 15% HP regen. Now, again, we've been talking about everything at a fully limit broken level, and we'll get into limit breaking here in just a minute. But I want to continue talking about the difference between adventures and assists real quick. So if we go back out here, and we go to Party, where we actually build our team, show you a team that I've built. So let's look at Argonaut. Okay? So this is my Argonaut. You'll see he's not fully limit broken. I'm working on that. And he's got weapons that we talked about before. So this dude, you'll see his stats are like through the roof. He's got really, really, really good stats. Not the best, but good. And you'll also notice if I go down here, this is his assist. That Chloe is his assist. Now, we can change assists up. But for now, I think she's kind of the best assist for him on this team. I don't want that because that's how you change her. I want to talk about her stats. So what she's doing, she's giving him 1,463 HP. We'll talk about what these mean close to the end of the video. Now, once again, her physical attack is way up. Her magic attack is kind of not there. So she's not a unit you'd use on a magic type. You'd use it on a physical type, which Argonaut is a physical type. So that's really, really handy. This Chloe is outstanding. If you see what she does, she nullifies 2 physical attacks. 2. So every unit on your team can take 2 physical attacks and laugh it off. Disgusting. You start to see how building an effective team isn't just, okay, throw all my hard hitters on there and then call it a day. Even though that's what this team is. Even though it might seem like what you want, you really want to kind of balance it out. Okay? Which brings me to the next really good point. There are a lot of different types of units like you saw. So let's go back out here. So that's basically how you build a team. You take your adventurer, you take your assist, you find 2 that work really, really well together, and you tie them together, and their stats just kind of benefit each other. Now, if I go to status board here, we'll talk about the different types of units. All right? We're going to go by sort, and once again, we're going to take it down to 4 stars because we don't really care about anything but 4 stars. Everything below that's just kind of pointless. And we're going to go to adventurers. Okay? Now, filter. There are several different types of adventurer units. There are physical types and magic types like we've talked about. There are healers. Actually, the best way to display this would actually be if we go over to war games. Boom. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a look at our units, okay? Oops, I want to actually go to change a unit here. All right. So if we go to filter, once again, we can take it down just by 4 stars. We've already talked about physical. We've already talked about magic. I think those are pretty straightforward. Physical units, they're just there to hit. They do nothing else. They hit, and that's kind of what they do. Magic, on the other hand, they cast, and that's all they do. Those 2 units are predominantly your attackers, but that's not all we've got here. We've got defensive units, we've got balanced units, which do a bit of everything. We've got healing. Let's talk about defensive units. And this is one of the best examples, in my opinion. Okay? Now, mine doesn't have any limit breaks on him. He has nothing. But what he does is absolutely outstanding. Okay? So, we're going to go down there. You saw his special attack is pretty crazy, but I honestly rarely use it. His first attack is a fast attack. Whenever you see fast, that means that it's the first attack basically happening in a turn. It preempts almost all agility skills. Basically, if you have multiple units that do fast attack, then they take agility into effect. But fast means it's going to happen instantaneously. 75% taunt and penetration rate minus 30%. So what he does, a taunt is a special type of ailment where basically he disables attack all types of attacks. So when you see there it says foes, that's an attack all attack. So 75% chance on every unit that he hits to taunt them, which means those units can no longer do their foes' attacks. They can only do a foe singular attack. That's it. That's the only attack type they can do at that point. Plus, they tend to target him at that rate. So what you've got is a unit here who basically is going to tank. He is now your tank. Very, very handy. Penetration rate minus 30% means he reduces the amount of basically the ability to have to hit beyond your existing armor and stuff. So penetration rate basically just reduces the amount of damage incoming. Very simply put. There's different ways to reduce incoming damage, but that is one way to do it, and it's absolutely stellar. When he does his taunt and he gets it off and it works, and then reduces that penetration rate, and then you have another unit that reduces the incoming damage, it's over with. Like, the units cannot hit. They just cannot. Okay? So then he does self, counter, and guard rate plus 50%. Remember, the penetration rate goes down, that guard rate going up, the counter going up. So in other words, he's blocking tons of attacks. Guard rate plus 50% is insane. And the counter rate plus 50% is ridiculous. So for every hit he takes, he's going to launch one right back. Okay? And then finally, foes plural, High physical attack with temporary strength boosts and heal 25% of damage. So in other words, whatever he hits, 25% of the damage comes back to him. This dude is one of the best, if not currently the best tank in the game. He is ridiculous. These two are not bad either. Unfortunately, I just do not have them fed up the same way I've got him fed up, and that's on me. But I've used him so much. I've used this Gareth so much, it's ridiculous. He is insane. Okay? That is defensive type units. Sorry I gushed a little bit. Let's talk about healing type. Pretty straightforward. Shouldn't need a whole lot of explanation on this. Reverie is a great example of a healer. Okay? So, allies. Mid-heal with endurance plus 10% for 2 turns. She's going to do a medium level of heal. And she's going to increase the endurance of everybody on the team. Allies. Physical resist plus 10%. Remember, once again, she's going to add resistance to everybody that is on the team. And then she does a little attack here, but she's predominantly there to be a healer. That is what she does. Oh, she has a combo attack. I was not familiar with that. Now, there are other skills down here we haven't talked about. So these are just things that she gets. So she automatically has magic resist plus 10%, ailment resist plus 15%, magic resist 11%. Or, I'm sorry, not magic resist. I take that back. Magic plus 11%. And 1% HP regen per turn, 1% MP regen per turn. So that's really what kind of makes her a healer here. Now, once again, everybody has these special abilities on the bottom. You just need to go through every single unit, and they're all a case-by-case scenario. But that's healing. Healing's pretty straightforward. Healing's not complicated at all. It's just units that are going to help you last longer in a fight. Okay? Now comes the last one. Balance types. Balance types, they can vary. So, case in point, let's look at... Oops, I didn't want to change her. That's okay. I can change it back pretty simply. Okay? This Lily. This Lily is... You'll see she does magic plus 45% and heal plus 30% for 4 turns. So she's hitting and she's healing. Okay? Then she's got an attack, and then she's got another heal and 35% HP regen for 2 turns. That's kind of ridiculous. I hope you're paying attention to what some of these units do. There's some busted units in this game. Here's a really interesting one for her. Encouraging. When countering, instead of attacking regularly, it low heals an ally, prioritizing the ally with the lowest percent HP. Yep, she kind of busted. So she does all kinds of healing, but she also does all kinds of attacking. So, yeah. And you'll notice that magic is for all allies. So she works best on a magic team, but she doesn't have to be on a magic team. It's just where she works best. Her guard rate is pretty good. Now, you'll notice she has wind resistance. We'll talk about that next. In fact, but we'll talk about a couple other balance type units first. So literally just balance type units can be anything that does multiple things. It's pretty straightforward. Okay? I forget what she does, but we'll take a look here. So she does, again, we're going to ignore the special skill. Medium light magic attack and light resist minus 35%. So she attacks and debuffs. Foes light magic attack with 15% slow, and allies magic plus 45%. So she's balanced because she's a buffer and a debuffer. Okay? And she's a really good one at that. So she's more of your support type unit. She's not going to do as much damage as she's going to support your team. That's kind of what balanced units are. They're really going to be more supports, but not always. Apologies for that cut there. My phone overheated. So, I'm looking forward to August 7th. So, let's go back into War Games one more time. I know I need to run it, but first I want to make this video for y'all. So, one thing we didn't talk about. So, we did talk a little bit about units. We talked about all that kind of stuff. We did not talk about the types of units. So let's go back in here one more time. Okay. So we go filter it down again. Okay. We've talked about physicals, magicals. Those are pretty straightforward. Defensive was straightforward-ish. Healing and balanced. What we did not talk about was element types. And element types are pretty straightforward in them of themselves. Literally, some units, as you've seen, like with Bell, sometimes they have elemental attacks. In fact, most new units have elemental attacks on them. And basically all that does is it's another type of damage output that can be produced. Some units are more susceptible than others. Some units straight up resist certain elements. So what basically this does is it gives you another way to produce a little more damage. For instance, let me go back over to the... well, I can use Argonaut Bell here for... I'm sorry, not Argonaut Bell. Honor Bell here for an example. Okay? So most of his attacks, you'll see that top one is an Ultra Fire Magic attack. But the rest of his attacks don't really have anything. This is just a physical attack. This is just a physical attack. And this is just a physical attack. Okay? So there's not really much in the way of any other fire buffs here, except for in his special attack. That's because at the time, when he was released, these were new additions to the game. These were things that weren't really that well integrated. But if we say, let's go to, and again, I'm just going to showcase my fire team because that's my most recent team. If we go to the case of Argonaut here, one of our most recent additions to the game, you'll see that almost every one of his attacks is a fire attack. That's fire attack. That's a fire attack. So there, in fact, Krauzo, who's really his best friend, has a fire debuff, which means if we go back and look at him, Krauzo here, and the reason that I have him on my fire team, A, he does fire damage, B, you'll see down here, so Ultra Unguard Rate, Physical, and Fire Resist, minus 25%. So if you have a unit that has Fire Resist and you want to use your fire team, probably not the wisest choice, but that's going to reduce their resistance. Say they have like 10% resistance, that's going to reduce them down to negative 15%. Now, what you want to do is you probably want to pick a unit that is already weak to fire, and then use that and knock their weakness down another peg. Yes, you can come up against units that have like negative 50% fire resistance, which means they're extremely weak to fire. Use this unit, use that skill, knocks down to negative 75%. Obviously doing a lot more damage. Basically, sorry, I knocked the mic there. Basically, what this comes down to is it's just different types of teams you can make. For instance, Mikasa, one of my other favorite units on this team, and yes, I know she's an Attack on Titan unit. We'll get to that. She is a dark type. So there are all different types of units in this game. Let's go back up here to filter. All the units are fire, water, earth, wind, thunder, light, dark. There's no heart, so you can't summon Captain Planet, but there's a none. And when you see a unit that doesn't have a specific element on them, that's the element that it is. It's just no element. Now, there are specific assists out there. We now have assists in the game that resist every element type, which means your nuns are more powerful against that unit. So that's a situation in which you use none. Should be pretty straightforward, I would think. So basically, you can build teams that are mix and match of different types of elements, and that's actually really good. That's a good way to balance your team. So before we get into team building in and of itself, though, let's talk about one other thing. Method obtained. Time limited, regular. Okay? Let's go back to our good old album here. Go to character. I'm really looking forward to August 7th. Can't even tell you. I'm going to try to get my hands on a Note 10 Plus. I really am. Because this phone is just not cutting it. And we go to filter. Alright. And I'm going to go ahead and do, once again, 4-star. But I'm going to do this by regular. Okay? Regular units. These are the units that can be freely obtained in any gacha. Any gacha. Okay? Assists and adventurers both have regular and time-limited units. Time-limited units... Come on. No, you're not going to go down? We're not going to do it? There we go. Time-limited units... Bada bing, bada boom. These are units that are only specially attainable during certain events. Now, we did talk about Bell earlier. Some of his time-limited units. I'm looking at you, This bell, Breezy Bell, and Halloween Bell are both obtainable in that bell only gacha. But I'm going to be honest, they're not as good. Now, some units that are absolutely stunning. I could swear I pulled at least one of her, but I didn't have her. This is the Eyes from the Attack on Titan crossover. Yes, we do have crossovers. The downside is you either pull a unit during the crossover, or you don't get them. That's it. Once the crossover's done, it's out. We've thus far had 4 crossovers in the US version, 3 globally. We just got a special one with for Crunchyroll to promote Crunchyroll's side of things. So if I go down here, oh, she's an assist. It's like paying attention. So we go and filter. We go time limited only. And I'm just going to remove those because I always do. And these are all your assists that you can only obtain during certain events. Okay? So that's Halloween Seer. This was our April Fool's Hestia this year. So you can kind of see there are certain events. And a lot of times these guys come back around. But when it comes to things like Crunchyroll Hime here, she's never coming back around. Never. In fact, Crunchyroll's pulled out of the game, so to speak. So you only got one chance to get her. Hopefully you did. Maybe you just started the game recently, probably since you're watching a 101 level game. There's going to be no opportunity to get here. All right. There's Titan Aaron, another good assist. You notice they don't have any bonds in them, but we'll talk about what bonds are here in just a minute. Okay? So if we go down to the gachas, now let's talk about the latest gacha, the secret game gacha. These units are brand new to the game. They were just introduced, and these units are not time limited, which means after this banner is up, at some point they're going to be thrown back into the major populace of the game. All obtainable units can be pulled from 4-star tickets at some point or another. Now that pool is getting bigger and harder to come by, but there's one. Since my hand over here is off screen, there's one major difference here that's going to be very critical in this. Okay? So if we go down here, now that you've learned a lot about how the game works, we can talk about these units and what they do. Okay? I like Mikoto. Let's talk about Mikoto. Okay? So her special attack is Foes Plural. Ooh, let's go back up here a little bit. Foes Plural, Ultra Water Magic Attack with Temporary Magic Boost. Allies null physical attack one time except special arts. They'll never adjust to special arts. Okay? Her main attack is Foes Plural, so she's an AoE attack, attacks everyone on the board. Low Water Magic Attack with high uncounter rate and self-magic 80% for 5 turns. This is a brand new meta. This is the first we've seen this. Everything up to this point was 75%, and 4 turns was the best we saw. This is a brand new unit. So that means she is going to be insane. Okay? Verdant Gale. Foe High Water Magic Attack with Temporary Magic Boost and Ultra Critical Rate. So she's going to do a lot of crits here. And Super Water Magic Attack with high encounter rate and self-null physical attack special art, with the exception of special arts. So, she will nullify 1 physical attack every time she gets this off. We actually have a unit in the game now that replicates these over and over and over again. So you put the 2 of them together on a team, and they will be pretty much, she's going to just take no damage ever. The unfortunate side is it's only her, not those other units. So that's a ting. Alright. But you'll notice she's a water type. She does do this, she's a magic type. She does only to herself 80%. You're never going to see one, at least not currently in the game, that does allies magic 80%. That's too OP. And you'll notice here, this critical rate is up. So, the best combat for her is probably going to be someone that reduces magic magic damage. So, pretty straightforward stuff. I know it's a lot of information that's very cumbersome, but you can kind of start to see how all of this works. Okay? And it's worth noting these are not time-limited units. If it was time-limited, it'd say up here at the top, time limited. So at some point, they're going to go in the general pool. Any 4-star ticket will be able to acquire them. In fact, I have a 4-star ticket. So let's just go see. Oops, I didn't mean to go all the way out here. Let's go see what we pull off of it. Okay. We're not quite done. We got a couple more things to talk about. But if I go, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and go to the bell banner real quickly. And we're going to talk a little bit about the bell banner and what kind of things you can see on here. So that is Soma. He's the new unit that comes with the anime. That unit is not time limited. They'll be getting his own anime banner here shortly. This is the bell banner, and you can see a couple of those time limited units in there. If we go into gacha details here, boom. Give it a moment because my phone is lagged behind again. All right. So in gacha details, it says only bell units and time limited units of rarities will be drawn from this gacha. So you can see down here, those are all his. I'm surprised. Hold up. Oh, it's because that was a free-to-play unit. So these are all adventurers. The first draw is 200 Iris, so that's really actually kind of handy. But if we go down here, they should show us all of the units. So that one over there, the Oath Bell, that is the one from the new movie. Hopefully you saw that. The movie was absolutely stellar. Okay. There's Honor Bell and a Fresh Start Bell. And yeah, so pretty straightforward stuff. There's not really any magic or mystery to what all this is. Those were two of the time limiteds down below. So those you cannot pull on a regular untime limited banner. Those you are only ever going to be able to get from banners where they're specifically mentioned to be time limited. And once again, units that are from crossovers cannot. But this ticket here will give me any one of a number of unfeatured, or I'm sorry, featured, not unfeatured, featured 4-star units. So let's see what we get here. This is a single draw. This is not an 11 draw. Oh, okay. All right, a Broad Hestia. Got it. That's not a slur. That's what she's called. So now I've got a bond. So I guess that should segue us into talking about bonds. All right. So this is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Basically, to max a unit out, because you saw down there when I was saying I was max bonding a unit, when you put bonds in a unit, basically makes a unit stronger. Best way I can example this is you see this +5 over here on Riveria. That +5 means she's got 5 bonds in her. She's maxed out at the moment. Artemis here has 2 bonds. That means that she's not maxed out. There are 3 more bonds I could put into her. That's basically 3 of the exact same unit. Or we'll talk about one other way we can do that. Okay? In fact, well, no, I'll just do it this way. So I'm going to try to find that Hestia real quick. I'm going to sort by 4 stars and assists. And she should be right here near the front. Okay. There we are. I know she's near that red shirt Hestia. Come on, Hestia. Where you at? There's so many Hestia units in the... There we are. Okay. So you see this one's +2. Okay. I'm going to click. I'm going to open her up. I need to use Fauna. So you got to fill up. Basically, there's different charts. So with 4 stars, you get a couple of charts here. There's 6-star, there's 5-star, and there's 4-star. You got to fill these up with what's called Fauna. We'll talk about that here real fast. You got to fill these all up with Fauna. And then they basically limit break and they open the next unit. So you go 4-star, 5-star, 6-star. After 6 stars, you get this one. Once you have 6 stars and level 80, it opens up, or I'm sorry, level 60, it opens up this board. Okay? Now, each one of these is unlocked with a certain type of fauna. This is red fauna, and it requires that hero fauna over there. Hero fauna is really only required when you're limit breaking to the next star or when you're unlocking this board. We'll talk about that as well here in just a moment. So let's unlock all of this. Boom. Unlock all just basically feeds all my fauna in. Then I need to go upgrade them to the next level. This is using Exilia books. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Anyway, these books, there's small, medium, and large, just like there are Fauna. Fauna has small, medium, large. What I used before was large Fauna. I'm just going to hit max. And what I like to do is I like to pull this back a little bit, max this one, pull this back one, and then max this one. That basically makes sure that I'm just using a little bit of each tap. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to expunge all of these. Okay? If I do, I'm kind of out. And then I've got to rely on my smalls and my mediums. And it takes a lot of them to make up just one of these. Plus, as you can imagine, these are worth a lot more. So by basically spending this one, I can, like, I think it's 3 or 4 of these make up one of these. 3 or 4 of these make up one of these. So basically every time I expunge one, I could be wasting what would be the equivalent of a couple of these. So just like I said, back one off. If I max this, it'll tell you that's going to require 12 of those. I'm okay with that cost. And then you have to spend a certain amount of your Valis. That's your money, but we get so much of it in the game, it's hardly worth mentioning. You should have more than enough. Okay? That's success. Now, there are big successes, great successes, and super successes. Each one of those in succession, no pun intended, is going to give you a little bit higher success rate, which means it's costing you less of these. When it does that, it's going to give you your change. In other words, if it didn't use a certain number of books, it's going to give you back all those books it didn't use. That, I think, is awesome. That is really awesome. So, we're going to go limit break. We're going to use... Do I have any items to use? I do. So we could talk about Prism Bonds. Prism Bonds are a free unlock of one of these paths. Okay? Prism Bonds are a free unlock for... see, it says limit break. I just use my bond I got from her to take her up. Now she'll be +3. And you'll see it opened up this third path. Now I just go unlock all. That's all the large fauna. Like I said, remember there's small, medium, and large. It's a bit too much to get into at the moment, but that's... You need to farm that every day, along with the Exilia, and I'll show you one more thing on that. But that's pretty straightforward, you know? And then if I wanted to go to more, which I don't necessarily in her because I don't use her that often, I can go to use... Oh, I've got to completely... Here, let me go level her up one more. Boom. Max. Back that off. Max. Back that off and max that. Boom. So pretty straightforward stuff. Kind of understand where we're going. Alright. So, now I can go to limit break again. And you'll see I have 0 bonds of her available. So if I go to limit break and I go to use item, I now have Prism Bonds. Prism Bonds can be used on any non-time limited unit to unlock a path. So technically right now I've got 2 of those. I could unlock her in MLB here. I don't necessarily use this assist very often, so I'm not going to. I'm going to save those for an assist that I really, really need to use them on. But there's Prism Bonds for assist and Prism Bonds for adventurers. Now, hold up. What about time-limited units? Well, let's take a look at this Hestia. This is the Crunchyroll Hestia. Let's go to limit break. I don't know if I have one available. I do not have one available. For time-limited units, there's a Star Bond. There's a few of them available free to play right now. You can get what are called gnome tickets when you run events. Save up your gnome tickets. I have a ton right now, so I could actually go buy a Star Bond if I wanted to. Let's go to shop. And we'll go down to special exchange and gnome tickets. And see, I could buy quite a few Star Bonds, but I'm kind of holding off on that. I'm waiting for something on top of that. So, in fact, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do one. I'm going to do a Star Bond for an adventurer. I'm going to do a Star Bond for an adventurer. It should be pretty obvious which one I'm going to do. Boom. Character. We're going to go back to our status board. And we're going to go grab our Argonaut. There he is. Right there. He's +4. Boom. You can imagine what's about to happen with him. Limit break. Use item. We're going to use a Star Bond because I was never able to pull an extra one of him. And now he is limit broken and he is what we call MLB, max limit break. You'll see he now goes from a +4 to a +5. Okay? And once again, I have to unlock everything. That's going to require Fauna. And we're just going to do that. I'm going to back off that one and just use that. Okay. Cost quite a few large books, but that's okay. We now have our unit completely max limit broken. So if we go back out there and look at his stats are pretty crazy. That's strength, 1900 strength. HP is 3400. Physical attack is 2218 in all. This dude is ridiculous. But he can get better. He can get even better. So that's limit breaking. That's bonds. How does he get better? Two ways. If we go here into the character list, this is what's called CP level. There's different items that you get for CP. Tune into tomorrow's video. We'll talk about this more in depth. But the big thing you need to know about is each one of these, like that dungeon sandwich, is worth 100 CP. Each one of these is worth something very specific. See these notes? Say they're only worth 5. Let's grab Orna here. I should have some notes for her. Her notes should go up now. Nope, I'm out of notes for Orna. Fine. Galamus. Offer present. He'll take Dungeon Sandwich. So see, he likes Dungeon Sandwich. Dungeon Sandwich is now up to 200, but notes on Galamus now take him up to 500. Sometimes, in rare situations like what we had just recently, there are situations where some units get their very own CP items. Those, like I said, they're worthless on anybody else, but he gets pretty decent status events out of them. And you upgrade their CP level. See, he's CP level 31 now. He gets his agility has risen by 5, so he's 5 more agility points onto him. If I go to CP reward list, there are tons of rewards, and you get Iris, which is your in-game currency for summoning, just by doing all these things. So much to talk about here. So that's another way you can make these pretty crazy. As of yesterday, this was upgraded from 30 to 50. Now, everybody can go up to 50. We'll talk about it in tomorrow's video, so tune in to tomorrow for our first of the month video. We'll talk about this in more depth. But it's another way you can make everyone stronger. Another way to make everyone stronger? Hero Ascension. Hero Ascension is basically a way, you'll see the purple border around these units, that means they're Hero Ascended. Now, Otaro over here is not Hero Ascended. So, his is locked. Okay. I would need to use these white things, white and blue things over here, they're called Hero Lights. I need to use a few of those to unlock him to Hero Ascend him. Basically, when you Hero Ascend somebody, best way I can show you, let's go back out here. And I have a whole video about Hero Ascension. If you want to see that, I'll put it in the description down below. But let's just go find Otaro real quick. Well, we'll find any old unit. So we'll look at Honor Bell, because he's always one of my favorites. Okay. So Honor Bell, when he's max limit broken, we've seen his stats. They look pretty good. HP is 2500. Strength is 1481. But if we kick this one up here, and those purple stars are Hero Ascension. Look at those stats now. HP went up to 3600, almost 3700, and strength went up to 1831. This doesn't even include CP levels. CP levels increase this even more. It's nuts. It's nuts. I think my physical attack is north of like 2400. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. So get those CP levels up. Get that Hero Ascension done. You'll make your already badass units even better. Even better. So that's kind of it. And from there, you just kind of have to build a team. Now, when it comes to building a team, there's no magic formula. You basically just need to put the best units that you have on there that work well together. Some of them have skills that work together. Some of them have other things that work really well together. Sometimes you want a healer. Sometimes you want like with Gareth, the taunt and the debuff. There's all types of different things. There's just no one magic formula for a working team. There's a lot of different ways you can build a team. So we'll have to do our own whole team building video, and I'll try to release that here in the next couple of days. Tune in tomorrow for the in-depth detail on CP levels and why it's so important to summon, and why I was actually pretty excited to get 3 stars earlier. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But that is team building, or I said team building. That is unit improving. Basically, in a nutshell, the items that I was talking about earlier, Fauna and Exilia, if we go over here to Quest, and we go to Boost, you have to run these every day, and they're daily rewards anyway. So in Fauna, basically based on how you run it, and Exilia based on how you run it, depends on whether you get the small, medium, or large. It's pretty self-explanatory. Also, if we go into events, I'm going to go into the event exchange. One of the things that I tend to hoard, let's go down here, let's go to event exchange. And I'm going to go to this one. This is the event that just ended. You'll see I have a ton of those feathers saved up. If I go down here, I'll do a whole thing on events and why it's important. But you see there's notes and stuff like that in here, a lot of different things, tickets. Fauna. So now that I've saved all this up, I can go in here and I can increase my Fauna several fold. So I could take this one up to 250. So there we go. So now I have 250 red Fauna. It's worth farming events. It is absolutely worth farming events. So that's another way to get Fauna. Can't get books through these all the time, but there are gachas in there that you can get books from. But it's not a very reliable way to get them, so make sure you're running your daily book stuff. That's the video, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I've already been hearing feedback on the other ones that this is helping folks out, so I would really love to know if you guys have been successful on this. That's going to be the video, though. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Follow the Birdman. Hit me up on Booker. Make sure you give me your feedback, because that's only going to make these videos more informational and more better. I swear to God, those are both proper grammar. I'll be back with more 101 videos very soon.